Welcome everyone. As we have seen in previous lecture that what are the objectives we accomplished through performance appraisal. These are being remedial, maintenance, developmental and feedback. Now, as we were discussing that performance appraisal consisting two dimensions of quantitative and comparative, along with that, we measure two things within the performance appraisal, that is the present and potential appraisal. So we can divide that on the basis of these. We can say the performance appraisal has got two types, that is a present appraisal and the potential appraisal. Now when we look forward for the present appraisal, that means what type of services that individual has rendered against the responsibilities for his or her job profile. So when an individual performs his duties within any organization and executes it against the standards, then the measurement of individuals' performance against those standards for performed duties and responsibility is termed as present appraisal. The another dimension of performance appraisal consists the potential appraisal. Now, this potential appraisal means that things which that person has yet not executed but has the possibility to be executed when the person will be promoted. Like simple example for it, if the individual need to be promoted from being executive to the senior executive, so definitely the person has never performed the responsibilities related to senior executive. Now, in this particular case, where the person who has not performed senior executive responsibility yet, so we need to identify whether the person has got such capabilities, such potential available that he or she may be able to perform the higher hierarchy level performances. For this, we go for evaluation of potential appraisal. So the performance appraisal becomes the combination of two things, that is the present appraisal and potential appraisal. Now, with these present and potential appraisal, we try to evaluate quantitative and comparative dimensions. Quantitative dimensions of individuals' performance and comparative identification of individuals' performances under present and potential types. So first, before going for the further details into it, the methods which are related to the present appraisal system, let's just understand the principle called Peter's incompetency principle, majorly applicable with respect to potential appraisal. So now Peter's incompetency principle says that if any individual moves upper or higher in the hierarchy, then the person moves to the higher level of their incompetency. Take simple example, when we can see from this graph as well, there is a letter which is representing, depicting that how an employee is becoming executive to the assistant manager, then becoming manager, then senior manager, and towards the vice president. Now, in each letter steps, we can identify the person is moving to the higher level of hierarchy. Now, the employee who possesses all the competencies, means knowledge, skills, and abilities for performing responsibilities under the profile of employees, the person yet not face any kind of situation or any kind of responsibility with respect to executive. So now, for being executive, we need to evaluate whether that person possesses capabilities or potential or not. Now, when that person is working on any kind of profile, that person is in a state of learning, it is in a state of acquiring the things. So the person is not perfect. The person is being again and again evaluated on these dimensions. And when the person is found suitable for that particular dimension, that particular profile, then only we say that person can be moved up. But again, we need to check whether the person should be promoted or not. So now, when we look forward for the incompetency principle, while the employee is working as an employee, he is in a state of performing employees related responsibility. Now he is in a state of incompetencies related to being an employee. When the person being promoted, at that particular point of time, the person becomes executive and has left the position of employee. So at this particular point of time, the person becomes we can say competent for the employee related position but becomes incompetent for the executive position. But as we have seen, the person has never worked for executive profile, so he will be acquiring, he will be learning new competencies so that the person found suitable for the executive position. So while someone is working on any position, that person is incompetent for that position, whereas when that person moves to the higher hierarchy, that person becomes competent for the previous position and becomes incompetent for the present position. Now, when we look forward for this, as the person is moving to the higher level of hierarchy, the competencies will be higher in requirement. It's as per the we can say hierarchy, and with respect to that particular dimension, we can say that person becomes from a lower level of incompetencies, that person becomes more incompetent, or the person moves from lower level of incompetencies to the higher level of incompetencies. So the Peters incompetency principle says that in promotional aspect, the individual moves from in hierarchy from lower level of incompetencies to the higher level of incompetencies. Wherever the person reaches, that person becomes incompetent for that position, whereas competent for the previous position. So in this case, the person acquires, that person tries to learn new things to acquire competencies so that the person becomes suitable for the existing or the present position. So similarly, as we can see from this, if the person is incompetent for that, we need to check whether the person has got potential to match with all those requirements, will be able to learn those particular things. So at present as well, we look forward for what? We look forward for our employability aspect. So that is, the employability aspect means that the person has learned certain things, but whether this person has got potential to be employable and will be learning all those competencies, all those requirements which will make him or her suitable for any kind of position for which the person got selected, the person being through. So this is related to the aspect of Peters incompetency principle applies to the potential appraisal. Now let's move ahead further. Now, within performance appraisal system, before we go ahead for any methods to discuss, let's see how the performance appraisal system can be come up with, how we can come up with the system to be evaluated. So first, before we evaluate any individual, what we require standards against which the person needs to be get evaluated. So the standards are what? Standards are being provided when we were designing the job. So if we are right at the time of designing our job, we are right of job in terms of job analysis, then definitely our job evaluation aspect, job standardization aspect will be clear, and then this will be the criteria for evaluating any individual's performance. So first, we need to identify what the performance measures, or we can say standards against which we have to measure the performance of an individual. Now, with respect to this, we further go for that evaluation has to be done, and how we can evaluate those performance of an individual. There are different methods being available. Either we can go for direct method or we can go for indirect method, and then we look forward for objectivity and subjectivity. So first, understanding what is direct and indirect, and objectivity and subjectivity. What is direct? Evaluation, direct evaluation will be including when any execution related to work being done by individual employee on the spot, that particular thing being measured. Or whenever the person is performing certain things, the person being evaluated, being observed, being their measurement done. So in that particular case, direct has been taking place. Whereas in context of indirect dimension, the individual who is responsible for giving performance appraisal to any individual is not directly observing the performance of employee, whereas on behalf of that person, the department representative or any other person is taking a feedback related to someone's performance, and this is being communicated to the individual is finally deciding about the appraisal of individual. Now, when we look forward for this direct and indirect, there comes up with objectivity and subjectivity. So we take these terms separately, then we'll be talking about the accuracy related to the performance measurement. So when we look forward for the objectivity, objectivity will be the dimension where we are able to evaluate any individual's performance without the interference of individuals' biasness into it. किसी individual की खुद की biasness के बगैर जो है that particular thing is being available. So evaluation is being done, then that will be the objectivity available. Whereas subjectivity, when individuals' performance being evaluated, whereas within that particular evaluation, we identify that there are certain factors of individual being involved as he or she is a human being while evaluating and considering their factors, their prejudices, their perception about certain things. So there will be subjectivity. So what we try to have minimization of subjectivity, maximization of objectivity, and as much as possibility we can identify the things directly and less in the case of indirectly. So the accuracy can be received within this combination only when the measurement of performance being done direct and objectively, then we have higher level of accuracy. We have very high accuracy because we are observing or we are measuring directly as well as we are not considering any kind of biasness into it. The second which is available when we have indirect measurement means some other person is measuring the person's performance, whereas we still try to have objectivity into it, means there is no biasness included. How it is possible? When we include the clearly defined measurement criteria where nobody can include their personal factors into it, then what we can have? We'll have a still high level of accuracy. So most of the time it is not possible for the real performance appraisal making person to be there for direct observation related to performance. So maximum they try to have what? All the measuring criteria being clearly defined and can be objectively answered. Now the another thing which is available within the accuracy itself, if we include anyhow some of the other subjectivity but we directly observe things, so then the degree of accuracy is going to be low. Why? Because some or the other way individuals perception, prejudices, their biasness being part of that evaluation. And when we have things being not directly measured and even it is consisting of subjectivity, then what we have, we have channels related subjectivity, we have the direct persons related subjectivity. So anyway, the evaluation is not going to be accurate. So this will be with the lowest level of accuracy. While measuring the performance within the organization, it is not possible to have observation directly, to have all these things done in direct observation method or monitoring. So we have indirectly methods being used most of the time, whereas we try to have more and more objectivity in this matter. So the organization try mostly to receive at least higher level